Welcome to Go Home Heat, a wrestling podcast. We have, this is actually a wrestling podcast. We have New Japan Jared here. We have my man Ray. We have me, KP, and we're going to be talking wrestling. We are not going to do too much on Impact because we will be going through Impact, AEW, NJPW. Probably talk a little bit about that tournament coming up, right?
The Wrestle Kingdom, yeah.
I mean, the pay-per-view type thing.
Yeah, I never know what to call it because it's...
Special event.
Yeah.
That's why I started calling WWE ones just special events, because you're not paying any more for them. If you got the network, you got it.
Yeah. You're not paying per the view, you know?
Right. Yeah. If you got New Japan World, you get it. But Impact was the two reasons why we're going to do it like this. One, Impact was a repeat episode where they kind of gave away some awards.
What awards did they give away?
I think Purrazzo was Performer of the Year. The Match of the Year was I watched it and I still I didn't agree with it. Match of the Year.
No.
The female Match of the Year was, of course,
Iron
Jordan
Woman
and
match.
Grace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But the male one was like Callahan, Eddie, Swan in like a
Moose. I mean, that was a good match, but I don't think it was Match of the Year. I might honestly just put the women's match as Match of the Year.
I think it was for them.
Straight up.
And the only one close to that to me is Bay versus Swan.
Yeah.
That was really
that
really
was
good.
an incredible match.
Right. To me so
they had a good year though, Impact as a whole.
Yes, and they brought in a lot of talent.
Yes.
I'm happy going forward, but I think this week is more about what happened on AEW. So I just kind of want to jump right over to it.
I got you. But
go ahead.
I did want to ask a quick question. Who do you think would be Performer of the Year for you? Who do you think carried Impact the hardest this year?
This year?
Yes.
Don Callis.
Don Callis was like not there for 90% of the year.
That's why I carried
Performer of the Year for me on that show is Moose.
Moose has had a phenomenal stretch.
Yeah,
really good stuff.
Rich Swann is Performer of the last 3 months.
Yeah.
EY had a month in there that was strong. But Purrazzo came in midway through. She had a tremendous run.
Mm-hmm.
I think Grace was probably had the best overall year.
Yes.
Of the women.
Yes.
But Purrazzo winds up being the champ at the end and doing really well. So I don't know that I could. So to me, Moose was the one who start to finish kind of was.
Yeah, he's had a
main
really
event type guy.
Really solid year the entire time.
Right.
His whole run with the TNA belt has been great.
Right.
His matches with EC3, that kind of stuff, dude.
That whole program was great. The programs he's gone into when he was beating up on has-beens.
Yeah.
That whole thing was great, even though he was beating up on has-beens.
Him and Willie Mack.
Right. That's one of the best things on the show right now.
Straight up.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. And then, like I said, I would be surprised if Swan isn't their Wrestler of the Year next year.
Yeah.
Similar to like WWE, I'd be shocked if Roman isn't the Wrestler of the Year next year. But at this point, he was only there 2 months. Because of this, you know what I mean? And finding this character at this point.
That's always the thing with recency bias when it comes to giving out awards. It's like the last big thing you remember, you're like, oh man, that was awesome. Even if you were saying that all year long. Like maybe an album comes out in November and you're just like, this blew me away. Album of the year easy, but it's like, man, there was some stuff in January that was really good too.
Or even worse, March. Something comes out in March, you're going to forget about it. It's in
gone.
The middle of everything, right? Whereas summertime, you remember summer because there's big things going on.
Yeah.
Okay. So, moving on, Brody Lee, John Huber, passed away, and it was a huge hit on the entire wrestling community. People that wrestled him in every company, very upset. WWE did a couple of screenshot style tributes, and then a bunch of their wrestlers did things in the ring to pay tributes to him. A bunch of the wrestlers outside of the ring did things to pay tribute to him, but the focus here will be on the fact that AEW carved out an entire show for the man, which I think was wonderful. I thought that Tony, who they said scrapped the show they had planned and rewrote an entire show to make sure this was a tribute to a man beloved by everyone he came in contact with. I thought he did a fantastic job. We start with the 10 bell salute on AEW Dynamite, and I was blown away by the outpouring.
Dude, it was perfect. It was beautiful. It was everything it needed to be.
Right, you have the whole roster out. You have the wife. You have the children. One of which is going by -1. He's got a Dark Order mask on. He is in a suit like his father would have worn. He's, what is he, 7 or 8?
9, 8 or 9, something like that.
Yeah, and he is. And so once you get done with the 10 bell salute, you get a Moxley interview. Moxley, I assume, is still at his house, and I assume he was wearing the beanie because he was worried about tears.
Yeah, it hit his eyes. Yeah,
I think it allowed him to get through it. And he talked about wrestling from bingo halls to stadiums with the man. He talked about how wrestling is a community. I'm getting goosebumps and having trouble just talking about it.
I rewatched part of the episode last night. Oh man, it's wild. Oh.
Right. Oh, -1 has a Twitter feed.
Perfect.
As of this morning.
Perfect.
I think it was this morning, maybe last night.
You can retweet all the videos of him beating up wrestlers backstage.
Dude, he
the work rate on that kid.
Yes, he beat Adam Cole backstage.
He straight up beat Adam Cole
backstage. The first cross promotion match.
Yes.
The TNT champion.
Yes.
Beats the
NXT.
Adam Cole almost kicked out.
Almost instinct. Pure instinct. He almost didn't put that kid over.
Yeah, correct.
2.9. He almost.
Yeah.
His arm twitched,
Yeah, right. And then I want to say that he immediately got up and put a finisher on somebody else backstage.
Yes. It was Johnny, and then Johnny kicked out, of course.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Johnny. I can't remember. There was somebody else. I think he literally in catering beat Adam Cole and then somebody else back to back.
It's just the videos they put out with him were so sweet, and I'm just so glad to see. I was especially glad to see with Brian Pillman Jr. Because he was there.
Yeah.
Out of everybody, he was there. So it's so sweet to see them giving the little guy such a nice time backstage.
Absolutely. Now it might have been Pillman Jr. that. I wish I could remember. I'm sorry. Okay. Then he talked about how John talked about how wrestling is a community, and how they all come together and have each other's backs, which was beautiful. And
I always loved the Rage Against the Dying of the Light reference from oh shoot, I'm so sad that I don't remember the poet. It's a gorgeous poem though.
Right. Somewhere in this, all of these tributes speak of him being a family man. A lot of them speak of how wrestling was, I think both Jericho and maybe Mox both said, this was a job for him. And that he, somebody's mentioned that, afterwards, and Tony Khan famously after they film Dark will break out the, because they'll film AEW and then they'll do Dark. And he'll break out a duffel bag full of White Claw and they sit around and drink and have a good time and all of that, right? And so it has a very family style, fun style atmosphere surrounding the company. But Brody wasn't there for that. He
went home.
Yeah, yes, correct. And
he went home and he hung out with his kids, which is just so sweet, man.
Yeah, and John talked about how he said to Brody on multiple occasions, I like to be able to order Chinese at 2 a.m. I like to be able to stay up all night if I feel like it. I'm too selfish, basically, to be he didn't say it like that, but
yeah,
I'm too self-invested to be a father. And Brody was like, I would trade you for anything. And now, as John is approaching fatherhood,
yeah. Oh, dude.
Everything hits different, right?
Oh, God.
Okay. All right. Bucks
and Colt Cabana
versus Hardy in the Private Party. And Colt is wrestling with tears in his eyes. And he does wonderful.
Dude, Colt is I always forget, and they did bring it up on commentary, but Colt is deceptively big.
Yes.
You don't think of him as like a big guy, but that dude's built like a refrigerator. Like he's tall and
right.
he's a little
He's
stocky.
over 6 and he's strong.
Yeah.
And very coordinated, and he knows all of the little catch-can moves. He knows all.
The bit at the beginning where I think it was Cassidy goes down like to trip him up off the ropes, and he just walks up and just kind of calmly puts his arm around his head and then looked all proud. Oh, dude, fantastic!
He wrestled his ass off.
He really did. That's a theme running through this show: is people absolutely wrestling their asses off.
Yeah, the finish winds up being the Meltzer driver and the Superman cover, which was great.
I love the Superman pin. It's another one of those things that Colt does perfectly.
The Acclaim come out to run their mouths, and SCU jumps them, so we do get a little bit of actual wrestling show here.
I like that segment because the ability to get heat in a situation like this, you don't actually have to do anything. They just implied that they were going to say something nasty, and that's all. That's it.
Right.
That's all you need.
Right. Darby Allin filmed Memorial Statement is next, and he talks of how Brody was the one guy he wished he could have wrestled.
I would love to have seen that match.
Right. He also talks about how Brody was very free with offering advice and that he had no ego. And I think that's an interesting aspect of Brody. And I'm not going to say anything derogatory about what happened to him prior to getting to this company. But Brody believed he could be more of a show. And I think this also heightens in with the guy who closes the show, Cody. Because they were similar in that respect. And they both got the opportunity to prove they could be the guy. And they were able to be the guy.
Yeah.
And Brody being able to, or being in a scenario where I'm already financially stable. Like he used to throw around that he was rich. Right? But
I thought that was so funny.
Right. But the neat thing about that was his priority is his family.
Yeah.
His priority would be money, but he's got it. So now his priority isn't even him being, he knows he's over because he's doing what's right to be over. So he doesn't care if you become over as well, because he doesn't even have to get his stuff in, because all his stuff is a clothesline.
Dude.
So you can go out there and get your stuff in the whole match. I can hit you with a clothesline and win. And I can tell you how to be what I am because I've seen guys your size get over. Right? I wrestled Seth in Bingo Halls.
Yeah.
I wrestled, I was along the entire journey of Jon Moxley being the biggest thing in wrestling. I remember when he was having to fight in barbed wire.
Yeah.
For $2 an hour. And I remember when he was on a pay-per-view getting a percentage of the buys going into a barbed wire bed. And I know how he made that trip. And I watched it. You know what I mean? And so he can help everybody on the roster. And I think that was really neat for him to point that out. Yeah. And what a unique scenario he is.
Yeah. His spot on the roster was perfect.
Right. Because Cody, as much as Cody did the same thing, Cody still has so much. He can help you, but okay, he's signing new talent. If he helps you, if he gives you more advice than he's giving this guy, is management treating, you know what I mean? He's in a really weird spot.
He's not just, he can be a mentor, but he's still in that weird spot of being management and upper management of the company, where it's a little weird.
You kind of need to be in a program with him to get individual one-on-one stuff. Whereas Brody can be changing his shoes and give it to you.
Yeah, Brody can just be walking by and just like, hey.
Yeah, right. Okay, and so then we get the Lance Archer dressed like Luke Harper.
I loved that. I thought that was simple and perfect.
I popped for that. Stu Grayson and Evil Uno are the partners versus Eddie Kingston and Butcher Blade. Eddie comes out, lays it down that he loved Brody, and then he says, you guys suck without him, and it's off,
and it's
right?
on.
And I love that. And then we do get they all wrestled their butts off. Kingston took all the punishment here, which I thought was great. Seeing as how, especially the way he introed the match himself. Archer does an old school somersault, which I thought was great. Uno Grayson hit the finish.
Dude, Grayson might be one of the more underappreciated talents currently.
Everybody in this match is great.
Straight up.
at what they do. Every one of them. Kingston may not be the greatest wrestler, but he is good at his character, and that character includes what he does in the ring. Butcher Blade these are like some of my favorite guys.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I'm not a huge Archer guy. I like him. I'm not a huge Archer guy. Grayson, Evil Uno, love him. Butcher, Blade, love him. And Kingston, I mean, I love Eddie Kingston. All right, and so as you said, the announcers were Excalibur, JR, Scavone,
yeah.
and
Jericho.
And Chris Jericho. And Jericho, a couple of spots in here where somebody was the right guy for the right moment. Mox was the right guy to lead the show.
Yeah.
Jericho was the appropriate person because I don't know anybody else. I think Excalibur, JR, Shivani might have all cried.
Yeah.
Jericho was able to scream, "This is a celebration of life," and emphasize that the entire show.
Dude, I think Jericho's on commentary was such a needed part of the show where he brought energy, he brought understanding. He's like, it's okay to cry. This is a celebration of life. In addition to doing his like Jericho yelling weird
heel
things.
stuff.
Yeah. But for me that's so important because
right.
I needed that little extra boost.
Right.
Because it can get dour.
It is wrestling.
It's so sad, and yes, it is a celebration of life, and it was very heartwarming. But it can still, man, you can get stuck a little bit in moments where you're like, man.
Absolutely. Okay, and so then we wind up post the Uno Grayson finish and the win. We get a tribute video which runs through Cash Wheeler, Arn Anderson, Colt Cabana, Bryce Ramberg, and the Bryce Ramberg.
Bryce Remsburg segment. That was the first time I cried this episode. I managed to hold it together.
Right.
Which is I was expecting to just be done during the 10 bell salute because like 10 bell salutes are like the saddest thing in the whole world. I cried when Liger retired, and that dude's still around.
Yeah.
He's just around, but I just
the moments between the bell ringing are so hollow and empty.
I know, and just dude, there's a shot of like Miro just like bawling, and I was like, oh no.
Right. Miro's another guy that's been around the world with him. Came up through FCW and all that with him.
I mean, Miro seems like he's got a big heart too, you know.
Absolutely.
But the Bryce Remsburg segment where he's talking about like how much his kids and Brody's kids meant to them was
our
just
talks
so
of
genuinely
wrestling.
heartbreaking.
Our talks of wrestling were replaced by talks about our kids.
Yeah.
And then he's just bawling.
He was before the interview started. He had been crying because he looked.
Oh, he was drained.
Oh, it was
all I could do to get it out. Wonderful.
But just again, a testament.
Excuse me. Hangman Page, Alex Reynolds, John Silver are wrestling MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. And Silver is dressed like Luke Harper, which was great because he's like 4'2".
Yeah, evidently they got that gear because he was posting about it like a week ago or something, where he was posting about how they had gotten him basically like mini Brody Lee gear. Mm-hmm. And they were going to use it at some point, but the plans fell through or whatever, so he just had an identical set of gear to Brody Lee, just like in his closet somewhere. And
thank you, JR, for completely no-selling it. He said he looked like a gas station attendant.
He said he looked like a farmer.
Yeah, which was great. And MJF comes out and runs down Brody's son.
MJF, we have to talk about MJF because I thought MJF did really great here because he comes out and he's dressed, he's got the Puerto Rican flag on his pants.
Right, because there was a little backstage segment where they had an outfit for him to wear.
MJF looked like a complete ass. He had absolutely no problem this entire segment making the world's biggest ass out of himself.
He had a Puerto Rican bandana on
his trunk
and his bandana, and he is as lily white, northeastern as they come. Private school. He's
from New York, like Proud and Powerful, but on just the completely different side.
Correct, and like
nowhere close.
What did we say he was? He was a theater kid.
Yeah, he's a theater kid. It's just I thought MJF was
football guy.
He goes out there. he yells at Brody's kid, and I was like, oh my god.
Yes.
He flips him off.
Right.
I was losing my mind. I was like, dude, MJF literally He's like, I'm just gonna go out there and I'm gonna make the biggest ass of myself. And this was what I think was important, and I think the key to the show in general. It doesn't, like, it empowers Brody Jr.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, the whole show felt like it was not. It was for in memory of Brody, but it was for his kids.
Right.
Because that put him in a central spot. He booked the main event. He gets to have that moment with MJF where MJF sells like he's been shot in the head.
He hits MJF with a kendo stick.
Yeah, after the match. The match, by the way, was absolute fire.
Dude, Santana and Ortiz are heroes.
Honestly.
Ortiz powerbombed himself.
Yeah.
I don't even know if... I think it was Silver, and I don't even know if Silver touched him. That was so amazing. And Jericho said Ortiz is the unsung member of the... And I've always thought Ortiz is fantastic. What he did in that match...
Oh, my God.
Jesus, he's good.
And I not to undersell Santana, dude, again, this match was off the chain. Like, when I'm talking about people who wrestled their asses off, this is the match on the card for me where I was blown away.
Right, and Silver, Reynolds, and Hangman all hit finishers on MJF, right? And get the pin, and then MJF winds up running his mouth more to -1, who hits him with a kendo stick in the head and sells it like he's been shot.
Oh,
somewhere in there, Wardlow comes out and attacks, and Eric Rowan comes out.
Oh, Big Red.
Which was his tag team partner, the Bludgeon Brothers, who we've seen, Ray and I've seen wrestle multiple times.
I did want to give a shout out to Jericho because, like, it feels like some of the other commentators were kind of, like, you know, dancing around mentioning the WWE stuff, but he's like, Jericho's like, Luke Harper, and then he goes, that's Eric Rowan from the Bludgeon Brothers.
Right.
No fear.
He don't care.
What are they gonna do?
Right. Well, dude, they get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They totally get it. You can't.
Yeah. It's just he had absolutely no fear. He was like,
no, and
he knows,
and he also knows Vince well enough to know Vince ain't gonna care.
Absolutely. But I love that because Excalibur's like, oh, that's Eric Redbeard. Jericho's like, that's Eric Rowan.
What are you talking about?
From the Bludgeon Brothers.
Right. And it was...
that I popped for that, though.
Of course. And he gets to clear the ring. And then you wind up with the triple threat 1, 2, 3 thing. Okay.
John Silver gets the pin off the discus lariat, and then immediately starts... That was the second time I cried.
And then they're all in the ring together with Rowan and the sign.
And
that
the
says,
sign.
"We'll see you down the road." Yeah. All that.
And
to make it worse.
The tears, man.
Or better. To make it worse or better, Kingston is next on the tribute. And the thing where he says, you know, as long as you remember your dad, he's never not really gone. Yeah. I can't even really talk about it. Again. Okay, Anna Jay, Tia Conti, Britt Baker, Penelope Ford. 99 was great.
I'm super impressed. This match, just even outside of like the Memorial episode, like this match was still pretty dang good.
I can't imagine that Anna Joy could even hardly see through the tears in her eyes, and she was phenomenal.
She was so good, so good.
And Penelope is so good, and Britt did it perfect. This was great.
Yeah, I'm sad I don't get to see Penelope more often.
Well,
but she is getting like
married.
When
she's not married anymore, we'll probably get to see her again.
Exactly. In 3 months' time,
let me rephrase that. I'm not saying that after she's divorced.
No.
She's not in the process of getting married.
I was gonna say 2 months down the road when they do a whole storyline about her getting, having an affair with Orange Cassidy or something.
Miro.
With Miro. Miro getting put in another.
Yes.
Miro's
cheating.
like, I'm back here again.
Why?
Dude. And he gets to kiss this time. Right?
But yeah, the match was great. I thought Tay Conti looked pretty good too, which in the past I haven't been the biggest fan of her, but
dude, the post-match interview where Shivani talks to Baker and she manages to slide in that this was a conspiracy, a big rig. Because his nickname was Big Rig.
Yeah. It was so cheesy in the best Britt Baker way, if that makes sense.
Right, and then Thunder Rosa attacks.
And
Yes.
And I was like, dude, this is great.
Absolutely. Then we wind up with I think Team Taz, 10, Cody, Orange is the main event, but we do get the Jericho segment where he talks, and he tells the story of being in Saudi with Brody, in that there is an arrow on the ceiling which he thinks is a sticker, and he is confused and it's irritating him, and he like yells over at Luke when Luke walks into the room, or John, what on earth, why do they have a sticker on the roof? It's driving me crazy. And Brody just says, well, it points to Mecca, Chris. And he's like, well, how would you know that? And he's like, everybody would know that, Chris. And he's like, well, I don't know that. You know what I mean? And again, he was, Jericho was very good in this scenario, and that story was cool. The fact that he would say that, Brody, even though that is something that you would guess that you might realize if you were in Saudi and were a person who thinks outside of yourself a little bit, but
so not Chris Jericho.
Yes, but by the same token, he comes over to my house, and my dog who hates everyone, even he realized Brody's the guy. Then you get a very strong matchup here with Team Taz, 10, Cody.
Booked by, which I thought this was so sweet, where they let Brody Jr. book the main event.
Yes.
And he just put all of his favorite guys in there. And I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
10, who evidently 10's like his favorite wrestler.
Right.
Which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
10, Cody, and, oh gosh.
Orange.
Yeah, gosh, sorry. 10, Cody, and Orange versus Team Taz was great. I thought it was a fantastic main event.
Yes, and then 10 hits the finish, which of course, since he booked the match, that's what happens. The Dark Order do their symbol. Team Taz starts to attack. Lights go out. Darby and Sting hit the ring.
That shot of Darby and Sting with Darby leaning against the wall was like dope.
Right.
It was cool as hell.
Right. They start out in the stands, wind up in the ring.
Yes.
Okay. And so then we wind up going away, coming back for the final farewell. And again, talking about people being in perfect positions. Cody was the right guy to give this speech. He is bawling. He gets through it. His, just...
I thought Tony Khan was good here too.
Correct. But I don't think Tony could have got through it without Cody.
No.
And
he even takes a shot at Cody in the middle of it.
Yeah, and when
he's like, Brody, who was the greatest TNT champion ever. No offense.
Right. And they do wind up retiring the TNT the belt, which I assume they'll rename it something.
I know they're redesigning it. I think they clarified, because I was kind of confused by that too. I think they're retiring that design and then making a new one that Darby will premiere at some point.
I would change the name.
Change it? Well, I mean, that's also the name of the network, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say the Nitro.
The Nitro. Yes.
David
Arquette can come win it.
Somebody may
the fire belt.
Somebody may own Nitro, but
and then Hogan comes and wins it.
Yes. But I would figure something out. But yes, it was very, when Cody is like looking into the light, tears rolling down his blue eyes, and says he was just a beautiful man. Right?
This was like the last half of the episode. I just had tears in my eyes like the whole time. But this segment with his boots and
they put the boots in the ring by themselves. Then of course the mom, son, Cody Khan are all there. They retire the belt. It just
because it hurt, especially because when Brody won the belt, there was a picture of -1 like going to sleep holding it after his dad had won it.
Right.
So like how much that belt meant to that kid is oh man, it breaks my heart.
Right.
But again, for me, the whole episode was about empowering his kids and letting his kid.
The kid signed a contract supposedly.
Yes.
To be a wrestler.
Yes.
There in 8 years or 10 years, whenever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But it, to me, this guy, it seems like Brody was just this kid's hero, and he loved what his dad did, and for him to play such a big part in an episode like doing what his dad did, hitting MJF with the kendo stick, messing with all the wrestlers backstage. I don't know, man. It's so heartwarming because it's not just sad. It makes me feel better too.
Right.
You know, it was a perfect episode. Arguably, even just bell to bell, one of the best episodes they've ever had, if not the best.
Right.
It was an incredible episode.
Bigger than wrestling.
Bigger than wrestling.
Now, I want to say something, though, because I think it's interesting about Brody before we move on to talking about New Japan. Is Cody said on his Twitter feed, I believe, he told a story about, because when he beats Cody for the TNT title,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to go over, and Brody says to Cody, is it okay if I don't hook the leg? Brody knew, for my character, the whole story I'm telling is I'm going to bludgeon you in a matter of minutes, and I'm going to cover you. Why would I hook the leg?
Yeah.
You're unconscious.
Yeah.
Cody is protecting a character, and he had to make sure it was okay. He wasn't going to show him up if he didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And, of course, Cody said,
oh, yeah.
I think he said, sure, Big Rig. So let's move on to something else. Go ahead. All right, let's get into some New Japan Pro Wrestling.
So we have the 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom coming up on the 4th and the 5th of January. And boy howdy, the cards are dope. So like last year, it's going to be a 2-year event, and the main event...
2 weeks.
Yes. 2 week? No, 2 day.
2 day.
2 day.
You said 2 year first. I said 2 week, and we're both wrong. It's 2 day.
I'm confused now. Okay, so it's a 2-day event.
Yes.
From the 4th to the 5th. Neither of the cards are like wicked long, so it's not like there's a whole bunch of matches, but to start out on night 1, there's going to be like a Rumble. Like they just call it the New Japan Rumble. There's 22 contestants. The last 4 people who are left are going to fight on night 2 for a King of Pro Wrestling trophy, which is they've done it over this past year. It's kind of the stipulation match thing. Like Yano won the tournament for King of Pro Wrestling, and then he gets weird stipulation matches. Mm-hmm. Like he had a match against Fale where whoever scoop slammed the other first or took off all 4 turnbuckles, whoever did either one of those things first won the match. No pins, no nothing. If you scoop slam your opponent, instant win. Or
get all the turnbuckles.
Yeah.
Right.
And that match, dude, what's fun is that allows for so much creativity. Mm-hmm. It's perfect for a guy like Yano. Especially because the end of that match, he actually scoop slams Fale.
Right.
And you're like, wow. And then you remember, that guy was a legitimate amateur wrestler. That dude's strong as heck.
Yeah.
But the first actual match on the card is for the junior heavyweight title. Oh, actually, no. This one is the Super J-Cup winner, which was El Phantasmo, versus the Best of the Super Juniors winner, Hiromu Takahashi.
Right.
This match could be a banger. I have not really seen them wrestle a whole lot against each other, but I think El Phantasmo's a little underrated when it comes to New Japan Juniors. He wasn't able to get over there for the entirety of this year, so that would also be part of the reason why he hasn't been around. But that's phenomenal.
And Hiromu's on a roll.
Dude, Hiromu has had a phenomenal stretch of matches this year. The match against Evil, oh man, I'm so sad we didn't get that match against Naito. Mm-hmm. That's the worst. The worst thing about the pandemic for me is that we didn't get that match.
Weird.
That's not actually true. Then we got heavyweight tag team match. The champions, Dangerous Tekkers, which is Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., who have had also a phenomenal year of matches. Their matches against Ibushi and Tanahashi, phenomenal. Legit match of the year candidates. Then we have them versus GOD, who won the tag team tournament at the end of the year.
And GOD's never won at Wrestle Kingdom?
GOD has never won at Wrestle Kingdom, and I do not think that will change this time.
Can't break streaks.
Then we have Kenta versus Satoshi Kojima. This one's for the right to challenge for the U.S. belt, because Mox has the U.S. belt. Mox cannot get to Japan. He technically could, but it would take like over a month out of the AEW stuff, which I don't think they're willing to do.
And his wife's pregnant.
And his wife's pregnant. So it's weird, but they also don't want to strip him of the title because they stripped him of the title last time because the monsoon that hit Japan. But, I mean, Mox is a big draw.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Especially amongst Western fans.
Right.
So this one's just for the briefcase to challenge for the belt with a last-minute substitution of Kojima. Because it was going to be Juice. It was going to be Kenta versus Juice, which probably would have been pretty good. But Kenta versus Kojima, those are two dudes who I think their styles will mesh quite well.
Awesome.
Then we have Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the returning young lion, Great Okan. That's the dude who, when Ospreay went heel, that's the guy with the, I don't think he has the teeth anymore, with the glove that came up and like sided with him. Mm-hmm. He's pretty good.
You don't think he has teeth anymore?
He used no, I'm thinking of somebody else too. Actually, no, I'm not. Because there was a young lion who wore like sharp looking teeth.
Oh, I thought you.
And
I thought you said
he had to retire, so Great Okan started wearing them in tribute to that other guy. So he does wear the teeth. So,
I thought you said he just lost his teeth.
Yeah, he's toothless. He just gums his opponents.
And they don't like lose because of that. They just quit because it's awkward. And
It's weird, man. They punch him right in the teeth, but there's no teeth.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt, I guess.
That's not how that works.
That's not how any of
I
that
don't
works.
think that works right.
Speaking of Ospreay, Ospreay versus Okada, which last year in 2018 they had a match in the G1, which was one of my favorite matches of the year because of the dynamic.
Last year? In 2018?
Last year in 2019. No, the year before. I hate this time change for the year.
Yeah.
In 2019, just to clarify, they had a match in the G1 that I thought was phenomenal. So this could blow the other matches out of the water, potentially.
I hope Ospreay does better.
Yeah. I have not been the world's biggest fan of his work rate this year. He has had some good matches, but nothing that has blown me away. But him versus Okada is something special, I think. Then we have the main event for both of the big belts, the Intercontinental and Heavyweight. We have Naito versus Ibushi. This is a terrifying matchup. Mm-hmm. They're matches that they have had in the past. You should go and watch them if you have not already. They are
Deadly.
The chemistry that these two dudes have is so crazy. But I think it just stems from the fact that they have very much the same mindset when it comes to a lot of wrestling. So this match is going to be, oh my god, they hate necks. They hate each other's necks. They hate their own necks. They will find any and all excuses to land directly on them.
Right.
And they never break.
But this match could be crazy good. So yeah. All right, so on night 2, we have the first match is going to be the 4 people who are in the Rumble who won, which I have no idea how that's going to turn out. I don't even know who's in the Rumble. There will probably be a couple old-timers who have a surprise, but I have no idea. That could be anything. It could be Fale versus Yano versus Antonio Inoki.
Right.
Probably not.
Right. But the winner's going to get some fun stuff.
Yeah, gonna get the I think it's like provisional King of Pro Wrestling. It's a little odd. I don't know though. But it'll be fun. I always need a fun match to start off a show.
That's the point.
Exactly. Then we get for the junior tag belts, we have the tag champions who are El Desperado and Kanemaru, and Desperado's really impressed me in recent times. Mm-hmm. And we have them versus Taguchi and Master Wato. Now, I do not think this will be a match of the year candidate. I'm not the biggest fan of Master Wato since he returned from Excursion this year. He's the guy who dresses up in blue.
And is
he really? I don't.
That blue is not.
If it were a different company, I would assume he had heat backstage. But I don't think that's how New Japan really works. But his gimmick and overall presentation are confusing to me.
Right.
He's not even a bad wrestler. He's pretty good. Like, his moveset's neat. His execution of it is pretty good, but he just gets put in the weirdest possible situations. Like, why is he teaming with Taguchi for the junior tag belts?
I don't know.
It's such an odd position, and they're not gonna win.
His gimmick is so strange that he can't really put
He
him
did like
anywhere.
slow motion karate in a forest.
Yes, which was actually the high point.
That was actually probably my favorite Master Wato thing, was him doing slow motion kicks.
I thought for sure I was getting Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and then
I
things
saw
went sideways.
And then he comes out looking like he was punished for his hubris at Willy Wonka's factory.
Oh my god. Yes. Absolutely.
Hubris.
His hubris. Do you ever think of how weird that movie is? It's just a bunch of children being punished for their hubris.
Yes.
Yeah, like execution style, and then like small men appear from the walls chanting.
Which is why Johnny Depp was great.
Yeah, you're right. I do think his performance is a little undersung.
There's an innate evilness to Johnny, and I don't mean that like I don't.
No. He fit that character really well, and because I think when people think about Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, they don't really remember the parts where he's weird and a little creepy.
Right. All we
Like
remember,
you get nothing. Good day, sir. That scene, like, come on.
No, they just remember the May where he goes,
Yeah,
right, because that's what you keep forwarding every day.
exactly. Then
Tell
the next
me
match.
again about.
Yes.
You're not gonna be weird every day.
So the next match for the never open weight belt. If you like big meaty men bumping meat, you're gonna like Shingo Takagi versus Jeff Cobb.
Shingo's got a Wrestle Kingdom match.
Yes, you're damn right he does. It should be the main event, but it isn't.
Shingo's gonna win.
Jeff Cobb's impressed me more this year with his.
Shingo's had a good run too.
Shingo has had a very good run. Jeff Cobb coming off of a G1 where I thought he did quite good, because last year's G1 I do not think was great. I feel like he's finally adjusted to the style now, because I thought his matches in the G1 this year were good to great, like consistently.
Right.
So that match should be fun. Then we got a special singles match, Sonata versus Evil. This is a match that has a lot of history.
That's actually awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this match. This could be match of the night contender.
Faction brothers, tag team partners.
Torn asunder by betrayal.
I actually own a Sonata Evil shirt.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, their singles record is 2-2, very even. So this might be a breakout moment.
It can't
for
really
Sonata.
get more even.
It can't. Not even 3-3 or 4-4. Still even.
Wow,
That's how numbers work, right?
Dude, the top 3 matches on this card are just like all of your boys.
Okay, who we got next?
Because we got Sonata and Evil, and then we got Taiji Ishimori, who is the junior heavyweight champion, versus the winner of Hiromu and El Phantasmo.
So Hiromu.
So probably Hiromu. I don't see El Phantasmo winning.
That's going to be a banger.
That's going to be a banger and a half, fella. That might, again, match of the year contender.
Are you guys doubting El Phantasmo right now?
Well, that's
I
the
just
thing.
see this is a better matchup.
Hiromu's coming in really, really, really strong, like nuclear strong.
Right.
Like there's no way that dude doesn't win. At the same time, I would like to see El Phantasmo versus Ishimori, because they're tag team partners, and I love seeing tag team partners fight each other.
Right.
It's great.
Right. There's a whole new story you can tell.
Who knows you better than your tag team partner?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Not
your wife, not your kids, not your parents. Tag
not
team
when it
partner.
comes to wrestling.
No. Yeah.
You know, they might know what you like for dinner better. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Probably not, because you probably eat whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. You pretty much eat with them. You live, sleep, eat with them. You're married to them in a way.
Yes.
So Sonata versus Evil is more like divorce proceedings.
Yes.
But yeah.
Oh wow, the silence.
And then we have Jay White, which is also our boy here at Go Home Heat.
Yes.
We have him versus the winner of Naito and Ibushi, because Jay White won the G1 contract for both belts in the main event. He won it from Ibushi, because Ibushi still gets a shot because Naito gave him a shot, and that's the booking of the main event has been questionable.
Right.
And I think it's kind of a microcosm, because the year in general has been very challenging for New Japan because it's not like AEW where they just ran shows with no people there. They just, for months and months and months, 0 shows.
Right.
Any plans they had were completely derailed. Not just because of the delay, but also because some people could not get into the country.
Right.
Kenta was in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Jay White was home.
Yeah.
Where's he from?
New Zealand.
Okay.
There were just a lot of people who could not get into Japan at all,
Right.
even if they wanted to.
I don't think that the British guys could get over either.
Yeah, no. Ospreay
wasn't able to get through that kind of thing. Now,
but that's going to be a banger. Whether it be Ibushi, because Ibushi and White G1 Climax final last year, off the chain, match of the year,
right?
Contender at least. And Naito versus White last year, I just watched their Wrestle Kingdom match from 14, which Jay White's perfect.
Right.
The whole thing where he works the legs over and over and over, and then he tries to send Naito running on the ropes, and Naito can't do it. Oh, heartbreaking.
Right. Now, let's say in that match, what do you think happens? Who do you think wins the first night and the second night? Like, what's the story? So at the end of the weekend, who's the champ?
I feel like it's going to be Ibushi, mostly because I say it's another situation of if not now, then when. In addition to Ibushi overcoming near insurmountable odds, it's one of those things where Naito has notoriously been a thorn in a good way. You know what I mean? A heated rival.
Right. You've kind of booked it. Correct me if I'm wrong. You kind of booked it to where by having Jay take his right to win it, and then having him earn another right, you kind of booked it to where the two things that have been most in his way recently of him being that guy are in his way this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Monday and Tuesday.
And because like last year, Ibushi lost against Okada on the first night, and then lost to Jay White on the second night. My man went 0-2 at Wrestle Kingdom. But that's another thing, that Jay White beat him there.
Right, and Jay White took his belt from him. His championship opportunity as well.
Yeah,
from him.
like he couldn't even win the consolation prize. He couldn't win the big one, and he couldn't even win third place.
So if he goes over Naito and Jay White in the same weekend, he's overcome everything to be the guy.
It is a triumph. So that's kind of why I'm leaning. I'm going to be mega sad to watch Naito lose at Wrestle Kingdom.
Right, because his championship reign got cut into quarters due to the pandemic.
And then questionable booking decisions with Evil.
Think about this, though. What if they let Kota win?
Right.
And he walks out there and loses to Jay White.
Nuclear heat.
Woof.
But at the same time, that's our boy.
It would be good, and it also would be kind of funny.
But it would also be kind of Kota's life story, right?
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
to have the belt for like 24 exact hours.
And then immediately lose it, yeah.
You know, walk out there 24 hours after you won and lose to Jay. And, okay, and especially if the probable shenanigans
25,
happen.
depending on how long the
you
match
have
goes.
nuclear heat on Jay, and who's the biggest babyface in the history of histories? The guy who just got screwed out of the belt that he fought so hard to win.
Yeah.
It's really, it sucks booking, but if you're going to maybe have him win the title at a different time and get on a run, it's a good book.
It could go so many ways.
And it would give Jay a quick, like if you were to have him lose to Jay, so have Jay give the belt back halfway through the year or something, right? If you're going to do that, you've anointed Jay as that heel that gets the belt whenever it ain't on a babyface, which is a good spot for him in the company too.
Dude, Jay's so good.
Right.
I want to see that dude with draped in gold.
Always.
Because I think that dude's off the chain.
Right, and it would also put him, due to the fact that they were all when the pandemic hit, I thought Jay was the best heel in the business, and I still think he should be. But it just so happens that life hasn't given him the opportunities.
Yeah.
Now, if you take the whole picture of the world in wrestling, there is this little bit of you have MJF, you have Roman, you have Jay. Jay's not really in that picture now because he hasn't had the opportunity to be in those style matches. If he were to win right here, even if he loses, he's going to be in that match again. So you get to put him right back in that conversation as overall greatest heel on the planet, which I think he deserves to be in.
Straight up.
Because he's been the one doing this longer. You know
He's been putting on classics.
He's been the biggest heel.
Classics. He's been in the company for like 5 years.
Putting on classics.
Classics.
Yeah, but Roman's been doing it 2 months, and MJF, a year and a quarter?
Yeah.
And he wasn't the guy doing that on this. He wasn't the biggest heel in the company until, a little bit into the year. Jericho was. So I'm just saying, Jay, I would like to see Jay back in that conversation.
I think Jay probably is the conversation. It's just Jay and MJF.
He's so good.
Really, Roman maybe, but like Roman's again only 2 months.
Yeah, pretty recent.
Yeah. So exactly. You need to be able to tell that story for a longer period of time, and Jay has done that, but because of things totally out of his control, and the weirdness of putting Evil in his spot. You know what I mean? Also doesn't do him any favors on that. But I will say this: I think Evil's pretty good in general. I like Evil. He couldn't fill his shoes. He failed miserably at filling his shoes.
He's not Jay.
No. And that doesn't that underline how good Jay is? That somebody couldn't do it. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like Evil.
They gave him the great setup. They gave him the great new outfit. They gave him the great new entrance. They gave him the great new T-shirts, and he couldn't do it.
It ended up falling kind of flat, which is
no knock on him because it could work out later on, right?
I'm not.
It's not over yet.
It's also one of those things where I don't 100% exactly want to blame him because he just goes out there and he's not Evil anymore. All the things I enjoyed about Evil are just gone.
Right.
Which it's sad in a way, but it's sad in a way that makes me want to watch his matches less.
Right. I get it. Okay, so great, right?
Great week.
Amazing week. Amazing week, and we're looking at 2 great days.
And dude, in addition to what AEW is putting on, which they're what were they? It's not New Year's Dash because that's New Japan.
It was it Winter Coming? What were they calling it?
Winter is Coming was the event with Mox.
They were doing a 2-night thing, and we were in the middle of it. So this is the second.
It's New Year's something.
But either way, they're having a 2 week. They're having a 2 week road.
Yeah, the card on that's.
Yeah,
dope.
this week.
This coming week could be legit.
I know you guys don't watch NXT, but if you include that card, you include what AEW's card is going to be. You include this. This could literally be the best week of wrestling we get
all year.
Right.
All decade.
Week 1.
Who knows?
Week 1.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got like 5 match of the year candidates there. There's 2 on one of the other cards.
Yeah.
And AEW is going to have 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Actually, they're going to have 2 that could do that a night.
Straight up.
You know what I mean? It's crazy what we're getting into right now.
Again, up and coming, so exciting. Watch some wrestling.
Jesus. And they're telling stories. That's the beautiful thing. All the shows are telling you stories. If you pay attention, you can see it. Like we just argued about whether or not Coda's career trajectory and how awful it would be. How neat is it to be able to think of a character like a character?
Yes, I know. That's something I actually really like about like AEW in particular is I always feel like at a certain point like I'm not watching wrestling and it's like obviously I get involved and invested in storylines and characters like Hangman.
Right.
I'm really invested in Hangman's character.
Well, Hangman's character now is really I can't believe I don't even want to talk about it, but the Dark Order, something's going to happen there.
Yeah.
And Hangman's in there, and I feel bad. I just can't believe I just said that. But there is something. Evil Uno's there and all that, and I feel like there is a way to pay tribute to Brody through whatever the Dark Order does, if they want to do that, or they can take it in a different direction totally.
Entirely, and yeah,
you know what I mean?
It could be anything.
Right, correct. So, for
New Japan, Jared.
For Ray.
Rastlin Ray.
Ray and Absentia. From EKP, this has been a Go Home Heat production, copyright 2021.
Go home.
Happy New Year, loser.
Yeah, what a great new year. Oh, shout out to Charles Gibson and the Gibson Gin Project. The Gin Project. I called it the Gibson Project the other day. I'm sorry. The Gin Project. Go check out their website. Check them out.